as you guys well know, I put out the call maybe about a month ago to say, email me about any experiences that you've either had with the paranormal and or if you were born with the gift. And we heard from a fair amount of you, and we're going to read a few right now. Hello, Maureen. This is from Beverly, a dedicated troublemaker, who says, my ears perked up when I heard you ask for letters from troublemakers with the gift. I have only told my closest friends of some of the things that have happened to me, mainly when I was a teen young adult, and my family tried to ignore it. Beverly wrote of several experiences I'm going to read too. One, my parents drove me to an Air Force base that someone had been transferred to after dropping me off. They continued on to spend the long Thanksgiving weekend with other family. The afternoon before Thanksgiving, I woke up from a nap, during which I had a terrible dream that my family had been in a bad car accident and they had all died. 2 police officers had come to the door to notify me. I was so rattled from the dream that I got up, fixed a cup of tea, and sat down by the kitchen window just as 2 police officers came walking to the front door. Yes, my family had been in a car wreck. Luckily, there were no serious injuries. There was another time when I had a flash or a vision of a blue pickup rolling over and over down the highway. Minutes later, my dad called me to say he couldn't come up to visit that weekend because he'd been in a wreck and broke his arm. Yes, he drove a blue pickup. The last event that I saw, she puts in, saw in quote, something happening, was after her brother, Billy, my 24-year-old brother, told me one weekend when I came to see him at Paris Island that he had just gotten orders to deploy to Beirut, Lebanon. I immediately saw a black cloud over his head, and I knew he would not survive that deployment. Months later, just weeks before they were scheduled to come home, the phone rang at dawn on a Sunday morning. I sat up, looked at my husband, and said, Billy is dead. I picked up the phone to hear my mom screaming. That was 10/28/83. 241 military members, 220 of whom were Marines, were murdered. That was 42 years ago today, the day that I am writing this. My premonitions stopped after that. I think my psyche couldn't handle it anymore. Fascinating, Beverly. Thank you for sharing that. This is from another troublemaker, Montana, a Montana troublemaker here. I'm going to keep you anonymous, just in case. When I was 19, the mother of my best friend died in a plane crash. Next to my mother, Mrs. X was the most influential woman in my childhood. That night, I awoke suddenly and found her standing at the foot of my bed. Seeing her, I sat up and, not believing my own eyes, blurted something like, "But you're dead." She made a dismissive gesture, kind of acknowledging her dead state while also batting it away, and in a handful of words asked me to look after my friend and her younger brother. She had 4 children total, and I thought later it was interesting that she did not mention the other 2. My memory of this remains unalterable and very clear. One more, a couple of days before my mother died, when she was in hospice care at home, I told her not to worry about me, that I would be okay, but that I would also be okay much faster if, when she got to where she was going and got settled in, she could send me a sign. About 16 months after her death, I was scheduled for an outpatient procedure that really frightened me. The night before, as I prepared for bed, I was talking to my mother in my head, saying how I wished she could accompany me, as I knew she would have insisted doing had she been alive. The next morning, I went downstairs, let the dog out, and then turned to the kitchen, and there it was. In the last years of her life, my mother carried a cell phone with her when she went out. She rarely used it, and when she was at home, it lived in a round porcelain tea canister along with the charger. Whenever she was preparing to go somewhere, she got the phone and the cord out of the canister and plugged it in right there on the counter. That morning, I found the lid removed from the canister, propped on the ledge beside it. When I saw it, I was startled. My first impression was of a deliberate action, and I thought someone was in the house, much as Bill from Brooklyn spoke about. In the next moment, I knew without question this was her sign. She was preparing to go with me. I took the photos, which we're showing here. This was back in 2018, and I have not heard from her since. Maureen, this is from a faithful troublemaker since day one in West Virginia. Troublemaker A, you know who you are. We're showing these photos as well. The guy in the picture dancing is my brother Alex. He died 10 years ago. He was only 26. I'm so sorry. He died in a tragic accident. His girlfriend in the picture, Jackie, and he were out celebrating her crushing the MCAT, which we had taken together. He fell off a 3-story roof at a party and died instantly. It was fucking awful, obviously. The funeral was a few days later on February 27th. It was in the church at the school that we went to. The church was packed wall-to-wall people. What was bizarre was that on the way to the funeral, there were rainbows everywhere. And I mean everywhere. My brother and I lived in San Francisco at the time, and the funeral was held in Marin County over the Golden Gate Bridge. The entire 45-minute drive to the church, there were rainbows everywhere. I have never seen anything like that before or since, and she included some photos of them. And if you've been to that area of the country, you know, it's typically cloudy, hazy. You don't see one rainbow, let alone a series of them. Finally, troublemaker Stephanie from Geneva, Illinois. And I chose this last because it really echoes nicely to what Bill was discussing with us. I have had several otherworldly experiences, but here's one of my best. I grew up in Phoenix in a house built in 1929, which for Arizona is old. It's on the historic preservation list. That's how old it is. When we moved in, we were told that a man had committed suicide in the house and that his spirit was still present. None of us believed it until we started experiencing a presence in one spot in the house. The dog would growl, but no one was there. My mom had seen flashes of light and felt him. My dad, who doesn't believe in any of this stuff, even felt the presence. One night I was up late reading in our family room, which had a set of French doors facing me, and the door to the family room was behind me. Out of the top of my eyes, I saw a man's reflection in the French doors, a man who was standing behind me in the door to the family room. It was unmistakable. As I slowly looked up, he was still there, and then I turned around and he was gone. Chills. Alas, he is no longer with us. He found his peace. Here's a shock. It's been over 16 years since the federal minimum wage was raised to $7.25. Can you believe it? Company productivity has doubled, but has your wallet size? 1 in 5 Americans can't even qualify for a basic credit card. The system is broken. We all deserve access to decent housing, transportation, and financial stability. That is where Kickoff comes in. Kickoff helps you build credit fast with affordable plans starting at just $5 per month. No hidden fees, no interest, just on-time payments that get reported to credit bureaus and help you grow a strong credit score. Users with credit scores under 600 saw an average increase of 84 points in their first year. With premium plans, you can even build credit with the rent you already pay. Only positive payments get reported. It is so easy to get started. Sign up in minutes from your phone. No credit check, no hassle. Over 1 million users and hundreds of thousands of 5-star reviews make Kickoff the #1 credit builder on the App Store. Start building credit today and get your first month for just $1 at getkickoff.com/Maureen. That's getkickoff.com/Maureen.